Okay, guys, welcome to another episode of Sales Beast Podcast. Today we have Cam McCarroll with us. Cam, someone I look up to a lot, and indirectly was actually my first realtor ever. I bought my first rental property ever through Cam McCarroll's team. So thank you so much for that. And welcome.
Thanks, man. Thanks, guys. Look, happy to be here. I was just almost saying lucky to be here. So yeah, lucky to be here.
Tell us who you are. Yeah. Tell the listeners who you are, where you're at, what do you do?
So yeah, my name's Cam McCarroll. I'm in Hamilton, Ancaster area, So I've been working in real estate for a while now, since 2010. Got into, really 2009, started investing in real estate. But I got from 2011 to now, I've been a real estate agent. I have a couple other businesses we can get into, but yeah, there's a lot to talk about there, I guess. But I sell real estate. I've got a small team in Hamilton, amazing guys that I work with. We're all focused on like working hard and trying to have a good life and having positive experiences and supporting each other. And we look to forward. We try to make money, but we try to have a good life as well. And really, our conversations don't just focus on the numbers all the time. They often lead into other areas of personal growth and stuff like that, which is important. We believe in our business and all businesses to continue to grow.
For sure. I think that's the reason we wanted to have you on today. We have a lot of people on that are very numbers focused, but from the day I met you at Bold maybe 4 years ago, and I knew you weren't numbers, sales, money. You're doing this for a reason. Yeah. So can you talk just a little bit about what that reason is and what your big vision is for yourself?
Okay. So I guess I should tell a little bit about my story, maybe first, about how I got into real estate, and maybe that might help just provide a little context I'll lead into kind of some aha moments that occurred for me along the way. They didn't show up for me until maybe 5-6 years into my business. I was a jazz musician for many years, a jazz guitarist. I taught jazz music up at a local college here. I was a professor of jazz music. That's literally what they called me. I had a professor of jazz music title. It's not me making anything up. And so, I grew up on music. I played music for years and years and lived in Toronto. And then when my daughter was born, I met my wife when my daughter was born, and I started to look at more financial, it's just like this nesting mentality that kicks in when you have kids. You start to think about bigger pictures, right? A legacy, something else that's going on other than yourself. So I had this moment of like, I got to prepare for my future here differently. Music is great, but it wasn't financially, it's very difficult. So having both my wife and I being musicians, I made a conscious effort to get into real estate, and I looked at real estate investing. So I studied the RAIN model with Don Campbell, and I remember having CDs, like a bunch of CDs, booklets they gave us back then, and I was pushing my daughter in like a carriage, like in the snow, listening to these RAIN CDs about how to like get going in real estate investing. Something just inspired me to get into real estate investing, and I really don't know what it was. Like I've had no real reason to assume that I was going to be good at it or have the resources to do it, but I just went forward with it. I didn't have the money to do it. I just learned, and I dove right into it, and I spent about 6 months learning it. And then I pitched an individual. Look, I'll be the real estate guy. I'll be the real estate expert. I'll go out and find the properties, manage the properties, rent them, do what we need to do. You provide the financing for it. And this individual said yes. And it took me a while, but I proceeded to buy 4 properties in 4 months right off we just got going. As soon as I finally got off the fence of like analysis paralysis, we bought a number of properties really quick. And I continued to buy real estate. And then I had a real estate investment website. This is back in 2010. And it focused on investments and like joint venture partnerships and trying to raise money for real estate investing. And it was, it wasn't, I wasn't really making any money, right? As you know, in real estate investing, it takes time, right? So I wasn't able to I was, spending a lot of time doing it, but wasn't making any income. So I got my real estate license because I started getting a lot of traction on this website. Google, I had some Google ad experience and just people coming in through Google. And so I got my real estate license in 2011. And all I did was focus on real estate investors right from the get-go. And I tell you, Mike, and I never lead generated. I never did any of the things that we do in this business now. It was all came from a website that was just, I had a free report on it. And the report was all about Hamilton and where to invest. And I still have one to this day with our team. And that report just got so much Google traction, like organically. And
that's where I
so,
came. That's how I found you.
That's it, Google, right? Yeah.
Read that Hamilton was a good place to invest in a magazine on my lunch break one day.
Yeah.
Went back to the office, Googled Hamilton real estate investing, and I think it was you and Erwin that popped up.
That would have been.
I think on Erwin's website it said if you're not a Ray member, I got the impression he doesn't want to work with me. So I called you.
That is funny. Yeah, that's so funny. I mean, that was literally the landscape of Hamilton investment real estate back then. It was like there was a couple guys promoting it because back then it wasn't quite the slam dunk that it was even in 2017 or 2016 or 2015, right? Like back in 2010, it was still kind of sketchy. Like people were Hamilton, like what are you doing there, right? Like it wasn't perceived as what it is now, quite the opportunity. But Rain gave that insight to us, so we were kind of ahead of the curve. I moved to Hamilton because of Rain's report and Rain's investment focus, and we made the jump from Toronto to Hamilton. Anyway, so I remember leads coming in on this website, and they'd contact me, and I got to the point where I wasn't even servicing them. Like it was just like a feast of leads coming in, and I was just letting them flounder. And I thought to myself, well, I should start maybe sending them off to people, like maybe get some referral out of it or get some business. I had no idea, right? No knowledge. I was on my own. I was with a independent company that had no support whatsoever. It was just a low cost brokerage. And so had a few iterations of teams, kept buying real estate during this period. So kept buying with partners. We did lease to owns, we did some flips, we did buy and holds, like multifamily, single family. I was managing properties. And, a few years passed, kept going, a few years on, it was like 2015, I think around that point in time where I had accumulated a number of properties, a number of relationships through these properties, joint venture partners. I had this real estate business. And I remember just being really, really stressed out. Like really, I remember having chest pains at this point in time, like just with the amount of stuff that was going on in my head. And I mean, if you looked at me, maybe you would have seen a guy who was really in his head, was really focused on maybe not the present moment, not really aware of what was going on internally, but he was really just kind of somewhere else all the time, like focusing on something else, right? Trying to get somewhere, trying to get to a certain place in the future. And it's not uncommon, right? We figure that if we can put in our time doing these things, we're going to be rewarded and we're going to be happy. And I felt I was fully engaged in that lifestyle, like of future gain, future success, chasing the dream, chasing the money, chasing success and what that future will bring happiness to me, right? And avoiding kind of the current moment. So I woke up one day, it was a Saturday, and I asked myself, if I had this whole day off, all to myself, and I could do anything I wanted, what would I do for fun today? And I can remember the day, it was like sunny, and I was on a walk, it was early in the morning, and I was stressed, I was tired from my mental stress. And I couldn't come up with an answer. There was nothing. Like nothing that popped into my head. Like maybe what would I do? Go karting? Like what would I do? Like I had nothing that would like just inspire me. And it was a shock to my system. Like it was like a red light kind of, like a flag that went off for me. And I realized, okay, I need to do something about this. And I had, so I spent a bunch of time thinking about what I was going to do. And I finally engaged in a retreat program and a workshop. I worked with a number of different individuals in different types of environments. So I spent some time out west at workshops on a quarterly basis, and invariably these workshops would be by the ocean. And so while I'm getting into kind of the deeper core issues that are going on for me, and sort of the, the underlying, the hidden truths, that are there. As I was getting into these hidden truths of mine, some of them were not, some things I was avoiding, right? I was surfing the whole time, and all my life I had been interested in the ocean. When I was a kid, I wanted to be an oceanographer, and I had, surfboard pictures, magazines, and waves all in my life, and it just disappeared on me, and it just evolved, like, got into something else, music, and then real estate. But it had always inspired me, and I was doing these. So I was surfing, and I was going to these events and these workshops, right? And they weren't events; they were like small, intimate workshops where we spent time getting into our core stuff. And I remember one of the guys who was running one of my mentors at the time, he really pointed out to me, he goes, when you come back from surfing, you're a different man. Like you are lighter, you are happier, you're alive, right? Like you look alive, you look completely different, you're present. And I was like, yeah, you're right, you're right, I am, right? Like I really noticed the difference, right? So I took that with me, and over the course of the next 2 years, from like 2015 to 2017, I started trying to make changes in my life and my business, and invariably failed at it, like trying to support, how am I going to surf? I live in Hamilton, Ontario. What am I going to do? So I surf the lake. So we travel a bunch, and wherever we could go, we would, whatever I could do for vacations, we'd go to places where we would surf. And I'm rambling here, so feel free to interrupt me at any point in time.
Keep going.
If you want, if you need to keep,
this is a story I was asking to share.
If you need to keep me on track, please do, because I can just keep going. And so, around where so, there was this period of time where it was like I was still doing real estate sales. I stopped buying real estate with partners. One of the key learnings of this period of time was to create space, to create space in my life, to allow the things in that are supportive to me. And that was a process for me, right? To declutter, to remove some of the things so I got out of relationships, I got out of partnerships, I sold real estate. And if I'm being completely honest, there's a part of me that regrets some of the sales that I made, because if I had held on to them, I'd be in a much better place financially. Not that we're in a bad place. I'm not, sweating here because it's like 30 degrees in my house, and I shut the window because the guy's cutting the lawn next door. We don't have the air conditioning on yet. It seems wrong to put the air conditioning on when we've just been in like heating like 2 weeks ago. You know what I mean? Anyway, so so I got out of a lot of partnerships, got out of a lot of real estate. And that was creating space for me. So I started slowing down, right? And it was a hard time. I got to be honest. Like, it was a hard time, the deeper work that I was involved with. And, I can remember going through a lot of like emotional stuff, like a lot of personal stuff that was just uncovering hidden truths inside, right? And coming to terms with those, and, how that would, and the impacts that they were having on me and my family, and so on and so forth. And so, moving forward, I launched a brokerage during this period of time. We started a brokerage, a real estate brokerage. It was a 1 year a 1 year experiment that we shut down right away. We launched it, set it up, had a broker of record, brought on an agent or two, and decided this is not for us. We're not doing this. Moved to another brokerage, Royal LePage, locally here. And then this was with a business partner that I was doing this with at the time. And then then I came to Keller Williams in like 2019, I think, 2018. And I made the move there. And at that point I said, I'm going to redo everything I know about real estate. Like, I'm going to relearn the real estate world. And, I was cold calling. I did the bold programs. I just relearned what real estate was, because I had never really spent time doing it that way, not doing it, following a system. but it was like there was a slow process of unraveling all of the issues that I had been dealing with, that I had built up for myself, and then filling it with something inspirational in my life, which was surfing. And that is still with me to this day. Like on a daily basis, I exercise, I train for surfing. I watch videos on surfing. I'm planning trips. I was supposed to go to multiple trips this year, but they've all, obviously for obvious reasons, they didn't happen. So they are coming, I hope. But my business took off after I joined Keller Williams, and it was because I came to Keller Williams with a mindset that was different than before. I came to Keller Williams with an openness to learn, and just, I am ready to learn it however I need to. I'll do whatever it takes. Let's go. And I learned it as a single agent, and then rebuilt a team from the ground up. And we've got a small team now of 3, almost 4 agents. Another one's coming on board very shortly. 2 amazing support staff. We've built a property management company. I do nothing with the property management company except refer to it. I have an operating partner who's amazing. I've been connecting with people on a much deeper level since that work I did. And I think that's the biggest benefit from going through that period of time. Yeah, financially, there was I didn't maximize my returns during that period of time, right? I exited properties before. I mean, we still did well. But we exited properties before we if only I had them now, right? Like they would be worth 3 times what they were when we sold them. So I'm now involved with I have a marketing company. So I have 3 companies. I have a marketing company called Wavy Media with a business partner, a property management company with an operating partner, and the McCarroll team, which is our real estate team. And that's, I don't sell anymore. I've exited. I've got a VP of sales on the team. So Adam Cook is an amazing guy. He's an amazing VP of sales for us. And just like yourself, Mike, he's running the show on the McCarroll team in terms of the sales. And for me, it's relationships and connecting and marketing and presenting a message that, people can sink their teeth into. So maybe I'll stop there. That's kind of my life awesome story there in like 20 minutes there. Great interview. Thanks. Bye.
I think you just described what a lot of people go through, including myself, that I'll be happier when kind of attitude. When I get this much money, or I add this many people to my team, or do this many sales, I'll be happy. And
it's a trap.
In my experience, you'll never be happy unless you wake up and you're happy today, or at least working on being happy today. So what do you do? I'm not great at that, to be honest. I'm not good at that at all. And I'll be happy when I hit my goal person. But the problem in this business is there's always another month, there's always another year, and there's always another goal. So the happiness will never come. What do you do to change that?
Perhaps. I was listening to somebody recently, and I've been adopting this in my life just recently. The urge to complain kicks up for everybody, right? We all have this urge to complain. And, the neural pathways that get locked into complaints, it's a downward energy. It's a negative spiral. And this negative spiral, you can interrupt it with gratitude. And it's so trite and normalized in society these days to talk about gratitude. And how do you do it, right? So this gentleman, I wish I had his name. I should really credit him, but he's an Irish guy living in California, and he was. I heard him on the Tim Ferriss podcast, and his last name's, I think it's McCourt. So I'm doing a terrible job connecting this, but anyway, I don't want to claim it as my own. So he said, so they play a game in their family where anytime somebody complains, the rule is that you have to then bring up something you're grateful for. So the moment that you complain, you go right, you then have to learn to shift that energy to something you're grateful for. Now the kids, of course, are going to be like, well, I'm really grateful that my dad has this stupid game that we play, right? Like, but you could take it very, very seriously too, and learn to shift your energy, right? Because I think that success-driven people are easily brought down by their energy, right? Like I think that's easy to say. Everybody's brought down negatively by negative energy. So what you can do with positive energy it can change everything. Like, it can change every conversation that you have, every relationship that you have. It gives you energy. It can move, and it's harder work because it feels good to complain on some level, because it feels like you're due that complaint when it happens, whatever you're complaining about. But yeah, flip it around. That try it out. It's something I've been. If that makes sense, I hope I've explained that well enough for it to land.
Yeah, I want to kind of touch on that point a little bit more. We had one of our previous guests, Chris Suarez. I don't know if you know him. He's out in the States. He runs one of the biggest expansion teams with Ben Kinney.
Wow.
And he was saying how, humans are designed to react to fear. So when you're putting yourself in a negative frame of mind, well, your mind is also in that fight or flight moment. So 90% of humans will run away from that, run away from the fear, run away from the pain, whatever that is.
Yeah.
And that's a natural inkling, where if you're showing up with gratitude and showing up in positive ways, well, you're reprogramming your brain to think differently.
So true. I can remember when I joined Keller Williams and started on, and I got a coach, Marianne Gillespie, of course. And I started really following a lead generating pathway. So, like 3 hours in the morning of lead gen, like 9 to 12 lead gen, book appointments for the afternoon, door knock between 4 and 6, maybe, and then go collect people's, go around my neighborhood and collect add to the database, right? So we had these goals that we were hitting, right? And the level of pain that puts you under when you go for it, when you want to achieve your goals and you do the work that's required to get there to those goals. I remember, and I'm sure you guys have been through this, and if you haven't been through the emotional pain, you probably haven't achieved a measure of success. I think that's true, unless you're really smart or clever, or you found an easy way or a magic formula. But hard work, that emotional pain is what stops people from pushing forward and doing the tasks that once you get through like a few months of that, or 6 months of that, or a year of that, you won't recognize yourself at the end of that year. Would you agree, Mike? I know that I don't know your story as much, Anna. So sorry, I can't really. I'm not sure what you've been through, but I know you've been really doing a lot on the brokerage side of things and recruiting, and so I can only imagine you're going through. You know exactly probably what I'm talking about.
Well, I think in the same way, it's like very similar. Like, I have certain goals that I'm accountable to meeting, although it might not be selling properties right now. It's getting people to join our brokerage and getting people to join our team. So I'm still, trying to hit those targets. And right before we came on this call, I said I just got off my coaching call and I'm uncomfortable because my coach pushed me to be uncomfortable. And that's how you got to be. You have to get into an uncomfortable spot. And if you're emotional and you care, it means that you're going to be more likely to hit your goal. If you don't care and you're like, okay, well, I'm not accomplishing my goal, well, you're never going to get there, and you're not even setting the bar for yourself.
And I think that people assume that it's what you have to do forever, like that you have to operate in that pathway all the time. And I think that you can, it's I think there are periods of time. I mean, I'm just, if you want to look, there's if all you're looking for is success, then the answer is pretty clear. Just go, right? Just go for it. But I'm referring to maybe the level of success that isn't in the financial realm, but it's in the peace of mind maybe that you have, or the way that you feel in your own skin, or the success that comes from helping somebody through something important in their life, that you have the bandwidth emotionally to help support somebody. And those are not, I don't know, maybe you guys might know better than me, but are those commonly used? I mean, is it common? In my experience, it's not. In my experience, it's not common to discuss the success being an emotionally driven one, or the undefined,
like a wellness, mindfulness, that sort of stuff. I don't think it's a common topic, but it should be, because if you have success in those areas, then you should typically have success in other areas, right? That's a really great point you raised.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if it's correlated directly. Like, I think that you have to go into the hard work, but you can also do the balancing, of, like, I don't think that, if you're just going to take care of, all your inner work and, or, go on workshops or get therapy or whatever it is that you're going to do to really mine the depths of, take a look at who you are, and the things that might be holding you back, or the belief structures that are limiting you, that's necessarily going to make you successful. I don't think it's just a one-on-one relationship. You have to put in, I think you have to put in the drudgery of, of the hard work, right? Like the days upon days upon days. And it's like a rite of passage almost. It's like,
you said something that I was just thinking about what you said, like you go through that drudgery and you grind, which it sounds like you did when you joined KW.
Mm-hmm.
I did the same thing, and now you have this team. Now I have these people I have to help and support. And you mentioned it's necessary to have the bandwidth. So I remember when I got involved in that, I was still lead generating, trying to build my own business. Someone would tap me on the shoulder and say, "Hey, Mike, how do I do that?" Excuse me? I'm doing my lead generation here. I need you to leave me alone. But I'm also supposed to be helping you. It was really hard for me.
Yeah.
And I'm lucky to have Sandy, because that guy would always drop everything for me regardless of what was going on. So it's still challenging.
Smart guy. To drop everything to support you, because you're his number one. You're such an important part of the organization.
I wasn't, though, when he started. I was just a random guy off the street that he found.
Oh, so you're referring to when you started as an agent and people would knock you on the shoulder and say, "Hey, can you help me?" And you're like, "No."
Yeah, I could call him at any time and he'd drop whatever it was. No, he always had it. I didn't have it for my guys in the beginning.
I understand.
I still don't know 100% what needs to be done to create bandwidth. I know Sandy's done it. You seem to do it. I heard that conversation you had with Aro the other day. It sounds like there are some pretty cool conversations and relationships being built in your organization.
Thanks.
What do you do to create that space for people?
Yeah, geez, I don't know. It's a tough question, Mike. I think you got to do the work. I think you got to go through it, and then I think you got to want to do it. Like, I think you got to want to help people, or believe in yourself enough to want to make an impact on somebody's life. And I didn't naturally operate in this world before I started doing some of the work that I did in 2015, 2016. But it was through that work that the way that one particular mentor helped me out, and the way he, like, seeing the impact that he was making on people's lives inspired me to want to do something similar. And so I didn't really know it was possible, that, like, human to human, you could make such a big impact on people, human to human, and bring that into your work, like therapists do that every day, right? And certain individuals have types of programs and retreats that they do, all the time, and they do this as a life. But to bring that knowledge and that awareness and that learning into your work is I don't know, that's something I've always dreamed of doing, I guess. And, like, I actually wanted to become, like, just a coach, right? And just, like, support people in their life, and life coach. I struggled with that for a long time, and, like, what does that even mean? I don't like that word, life coach. And I was like, oh, what does this mean? And I got training on it, and I went and developed myself as a type of therapist, not really licensed, but just a practitioner. And, like, I've spent a lot of time thinking and working on it, and wanting to maybe make a life out of it, right? And make a career out of it. Like, I think I want to do this. So, I don't know that so sorry, I'm not giving you the easy, answers, right? Sorry, I'm not giving you the 3 techniques to bring bring emotional awareness, or whatever it is I'm talking about, to your team. But I guess the one tip or one way of looking at it would be willing to listen. As cheesy as that sounds, but really just really try to listen and not be afraid to go out of the box with the advice. I'm a bit of a poker in life. Like I'm a little bit of a sharp edge when it comes to conversation. Sometimes I go for things a little bit, and I'm okay with rattling cages a bit, because sometimes it needs to be settled. Like you need to resettle. So yeah, I guess sometimes we know if the excuses are coming up, or why they're not showing up. It's like, it's not about them not serving the team. It's about them letting themselves down, right? It's like, come on, man. Like, do you want to do this? Like, is this who you are? Like, are you choosing this, right? Are you choosing to be this? And, and I'm sure we all need that, right? We all need somebody in our lives to help out. So it's almost a version of mentorship, I think, that I want to bring to the teams. I mean, that's what inspires me, the idea of like, the real estate's just the stuff that we're doing. It's really about working on relationships and building and developing ourselves as people. The real estate it could be widgets, you could be, that doesn't matter what you're selling. It's just the relationships that are what's so important.
For sure. Now, where do you see yourself taking your business? I know you have a dream of getting yourself down to Costa Rica at some point. Will you close up shop, or will Adam run the show while you're in Costa Rica? I don't even know if that's still part of your plan.
Yeah, I mean, definitely Costa Rica is a regular location for us. And, I'm planning to go there in July. I was there, I won't say when I was there. I was there more recently, so I think you can do it. I think it's possible. I think you can do it remotely. We've proven we can these days with the technology we're using. I can support people remotely. I'm not going to live there consistently. I have another business that I'm involved with, the marketing company Wavy Media, and we do marketing for the stock options for Theta Trading, and that's completely online, and we can do that remotely. So there's no issues there. Yeah, I mean, if it was me, I'd be there right now. But I have a wife, and my daughter loves the school she's in, and so it's compromises here and there. But I'm definitely spending more time. My business partner's down there, and they have just the biggest waves today they've ever had down there in like 16 years. And I mean, big, like 3 times the size of me, like three people high. Like just heavy.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's so excited. But he's living a really good life down there, and because he's in his zone, working on what he loves and doing what he loves.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I think it's
Anna,
possible.
You have any other questions?
I think Cam was about to say something, but I don't want to interrupt if you had a thought there.
Nope.
Okay, so I wanted to kind of go back to that moment where you, I guess, made the switch to KW, or maybe it was a little bit prior to that, where you said you needed to start the process of unraveling. Was there like a situation that caused you to make that pivot? Or was it just overall like one day you woke up and was like, okay, I have to change, I have to get into a different mindset? Could you talk about that a little bit?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, it was the insights that I was gaining through realizing that I was living for a future day, some future time. So I was accumulating assets, and I wasn't clear. I was accumulating assets and working hard, and I wasn't clear on why I was doing it. I wasn't clear on what my personal vision was. I wasn't clear on, money's never going to make you happy. Money's great, but it's never going to fulfill your heart. It's never going to fill your soul. Houses are only made of bricks. They're not, they're pretty, but they're not going to fulfill you. It's people we truly need in relationships that are always going to be the thing we think back on. When you interview people who are in their 80s, 90s, the things that they regret most is not spending time more with friends and loved ones, and taking risks and doing the things that they wish they'd done, and having fun in their life. These are the things people think about when they're looking back on their life. And I had sort of a kind of accelerated moment during that period of time where I was like, I realized I'm going to regret my life if I don't start taking action. And I still am worried that I'm not taking enough action in the direction of my dreams. I got to be honest, like I still feel that way. So it's not like I'm like, oh my God, I'm perfect. But the unraveling part came from the awareness that I've got to create space. Like that was the big lesson I learned, was that to create space for what inspires me and what makes me feel good. And that's what I think people need. That's what I think we don't really realize, is we can't see ourselves because we're swimming in our water, and we don't realize we're swimming in water. And they're like, you talk to the fish and they're like, no, but look at the water. And they're like, water, what's water, right? Like we're in the same boat. We don't know, like, that if we change our patterns, like take time away and go away to a cottage for 3 days and bring a journal and just write down what's on your mind, and like you'll be astounded with how you feel coming out of that. But our brains can't figure that out. We can't just like flick the switch and turn that on. We have to go experience it, I think, in nature or whatever we need to do, right? Or travel. So the unraveling came from that awareness that I had to create space and make tough decisions to get out of partnerships that were profitable and that were going to be really, really good for me financially, but that weren't serving me on an emotional level. They were great people. There was nothing wrong with the relationships, but I knew that I needed to create space. So I couldn't take the responsibility of ownership with them anymore. That was the best thing I've ever done. I got to tell you, like, for me personally.
Yeah, I think people.
Sometimes you got to.
Yeah, I feel like people go through those realization moments, and I was just curious to hear what was like your like flip of the switch, or what that moment was for you. And it's different for everyone. Like maybe it's a big event, or maybe it's you just waking up one day and having that realization. I've definitely had a couple of those in the past years.
Really?
But yeah, thank you for sharing that. I think that was great.
Yeah, you're welcome. For me, it was that moment when I woke up and realized that if I had the whole day free for myself, and I couldn't tell you what I wanted to do for fun that day. Mm-hmm. And it was like, that's weird. That's not good, right? Like, wait a minute, what am I doing all this for? So
100%.
Yeah, that was the impetus.
Awesome. So now, what does your day look like now?
I think a lot of people feel that way.
It's the lag.
Sorry.
We have the Zoom lag.
We got the Zoom lag. Miles, please edit this.
Go ahead, Anna. Yeah.
I was just going to say, like, as a business owner, you own multiple businesses now. You talked a little bit about your vision. What does your day look like now, and what do you want your day to look like in the next couple of years?
Well, right now it looks like, what does my day look like? It looks different every day. God. It's really just, it's indoors. It's in our houses, like we've all been. It's working on the computer from home. It's supporting the people who are around me. That's what it looks like. It looks like, I have an operations manager. We have two operations managers for two different businesses. So it's connecting with them and training, and all the tasks are related to running those organizations, and really learning how to delegate. It's been a very, very big lesson for me, is to learn to delegate and to, take things off my plate and be willing to hire out and go through the process of hiring, because it's such a game changer. Once you get leverage in place, it's just, you don't know how good it is until you get it. And I see you guys nodding your heads, and you know what I'm talking about. But my days look like, I don't think I work extraordinarily heavy. I work better. Like I kind of do it like a 3-4 hour crush time. Like that's sort of my zone. Like I can really, and like a lot of some of the work I do is creative. So it's like writing, and it's like writing, marketing emails or creating messages for certain ads, and, strategizing how we're going to be presenting something, in a marketing way. So that always takes a lot of energy, mental energy. It's not grinding, kind of like this phone call work, like you can do phone calls all day long, and it's sort of doesn't take a ton of energy. I think it does, but I find I'll work for 3-4 hours heavily. I'll do like a workout in the middle of the day. So I try to work out, like do a 20-minute exercise snack before lunch, and then take care of afternoon tasks. I'll try to shut it down around like 3 o'clock. And then do some other exercise. I love to skateboard. I've been skateboarding a lot lately, surf training and mountain biking. And we have a motorcycle that I ride, dirt bikes. So I, try to balance it out, try to not
hard, play hard, right?
Yeah. And then just chill, like Saturday mornings, Friday nights. It's Friday night tonight. Where we have pizza nights every Friday. Watch a movie. That's all we're doing every weekend night. It seems during COVID is like Friday night, Saturday night. It's movie night. It's like, what else is there to do, right?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think you guys originally talked that you met in Boulder. That was one of the first times that you met, and it like what I'm hearing right now is really life by design, not by default, which is like the whole messaging around Bold.
It's getting there. Yeah. Right? Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. It's getting there. I'm really grateful to the people that have shown me the way. Like, and Sandy has been a huge influence on me, in terms of like, wow, you can have multiple businesses and not be bogged down, right? Like, and not be really up, stressed about it. And he sort of showed me, and like, he's one of the few guys I've known who's been able to do that. So yeah, kudos to Sandy. And you too, Mike. The level of work ethic that you have and the grinding that you do. And like, it's like, man, Mike can do it. I got to do that too. Like, you inspired me through that period of time, because it's only been like 3 years since I've been with Keller Williams. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, there's one question that we ask all of our guests. Do you have any other questions, Mike, before I get there?
Mike, you're muted, I think.
Or he's lagging. He's in a cottage.
Oh, is he?
Yeah,
nice.
Sorry guys. Yeah, when I probably met you 3.5 years ago or so. We're supposed to set up this retreat. We have to actually do that when
the surf retreats.
Yeah, we're just a bunch of big talkers. We never actually do it, but it's time we get to it.
Okay. Yeah, no problem.
COVID's been a bit of an impact the past year.
COVID has been a challenge. Yeah, it has been a challenge.
All right. Well,
you're in, Anna?
Pardon? Yeah, I'm in.
Okay.
Yeah, Anna's like, yeah, yeah, I'm in.
I'm there.
Yeah, whatever, I'm
in. So the question that we ask all of our guests, Cam, is who do you know that we should know and that should be on this podcast?
Yes.
We already interviewed Omar, by the way. We had him.
Oh, you did? Yeah.
We had him like 3 weeks ago, I think.
That's great. Philip McKernan. You should look him up.
What's his story?
His story is he runs retreats and personal growth experiences. He lives in Ireland, so your time zone might be difficult, but I'm sure he would strongly consider coming on the podcast. He would be a great, if you're looking, for that kind of story. He was in the real estate world for a while. He invested a lot. And he's such a huge influence on my life that I think it would be appropriate for me to share him.
Awesome. Appreciate it.
If you'd like me to make the introduction, I'm happy to.
That would be amazing. We'll probably have one of our VA reach out, or one of us reach out to get that. Yeah.
Look at you, system. Look at you with your leverage. Speaking of leverage, right?
Speaking of leverage, yeah. Well, thanks so much for coming on today. It was such a pleasure chatting with you. I don't think we've ever had more than like a 5-minute conversation, so it's great to know you.
It is. Yes. It's good to see you guys. And thanks so much for the opportunity to share my story.
Yeah.
I think Mike might be frozen.
See you in Costa Rica.
We'll see you in Costa Rica. Okay, guys. Take care.